Okay, this is another video in the drawing series. You know, it worked out pretty well because this drawing will be of someone who's, you know, very involved with words. And on the subject of morality and objectivity, I think we're having a real word problem. I got 3 video responses, and there's been a few comments. You know, it is a bold kind of statement, you know, to say, yes, there's an objective morality. But I'm not making it recklessly or sloppily, you know, I don't think. I've thought about this a long time. It's my whole life. It's really the core of my philosophy. I mean, core is probably the wrong root. It's probably the condensation, the coalescing of everything that got me really interested in thinking was the fact that I drew this conclusion when I was very young. At least I asked the question when I was very young, and pursuing the answer is you know, I spent my life doing that. I don't really like getting into definitions of philosophy, you know, nihilism or relativist or any of this other stuff, because to me it's like saying, well, yes, I am a Christian, except I believe in the tooth fairy, and, you know, on Thursdays I pet frogs. I mean, there's just no point in, you know, because it's always conditional. It's the standards just aren't very, I don't think they could be a standard for a philosophy anyway. So to get to them in order, I guess, this reducto ad absurdum guy, you know, Mr. Peabody. I really liked the Mr. Peabody thing, by the way. That was really great because, you know, that was one of my favorite cartoons when I was a kid. And, you know, it just, you know, the intelligent dog thing, I guess, it does work. So, you know, we've been over this and over. We just keep going back and forth because I think we're just disagreeing over the meaning of words. And even how the brain works. And in Matt's video, there's, you know, I think we run across the same thing, because it's basically his contention that we really can't separate our intellect from our subjective conditioning. I would argue that, yes, the intellect depends on emotion to validate what it thinks. A good idea, we validate it by recognizing it as good and by emotionally connecting to that idea. But the idea of principle, so that's the first word we'll deal with here, is principle. That's not something, it's not a subjective concept, it's a objective concept, it's a logical concept. And what I'm saying is this whole conversation should be based on the idea that we're talking about principles. I'm not talking about anything subjective, in my opinion. It's, you know, it's just my opinion, but yeah, my point is that I'm attempting to talk about a logic-based theory, not, you know, subjective opinion, or subjective impression, or subjective feeling. So anyway, back to the brain thing. Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, we got this lizard brain that's reflexes, that's really on automatic. Then this conditioned brain, that's all the emotional crap, all the baggage, all the conditioning. And so when you talk about a flavor of ice cream and that it is meaningful, I mean, you define meaning as, okay, it is a truth that you like a certain flavor of ice cream. I'm not talking about what you like. That's a conditioned physiological response unique to yourself. I'm talking about something that's universally true. Like ice cream is, you know, 27 degrees Fahrenheit or whatever the concept would be. Or ice cream is made of, you know, cow cream and milk. Or, you know, it's an analytical description, not an opinion, not a subjective impression, not a subjective feeling. So to me, you can't even using the word meaning in a subjective concept is that. So that's the second word we need a definition of. Meaning. Meaning doesn't, in my opinion, have anything to do with subjective conversation. then we're talking about impression, and then we're talking about being awed, and then we're talking about being inspired, and then we're talking, these are a different set of words. Meaning is an evaluation that has to be strictly logical. Meaning isn't, it's a definition, meaning attempts to define the truth, not the truth for you individually, the truth about what is being perceived, what is being analyzed, what is being judged, evaluated. That's what meaning means. I mean, if we can't agree on that, you know, a definition, if you're going to keep using your definition, I'm going to keep using my definition, then we're not going to get anywhere. So we maybe need a new word, whatever it is. But I'm talking about an evaluation that has to do with efficiency, with productivity, with value based on an equation, not value based on an impression, not based on an emotion. Anyway, so back to the brain again. So that's, you know, subjective. That's this conditioned part. That's this ignorant, dumb, conditioned mammal that has all the sociology and the culture and all that crap. And then we have this intellect on top. And none of these things are in complete control. They are all competing for control. The lizard, the gorilla, and the man is all competing. They're all attempting to gain control of the beast. But they can all act independently. They can certainly act intermingled. There's nothing saying they can't. They definitely pollute each other. They definitely can pollute each other. The point is that we can have objective reasoning that has no element of our own personal subjective impression built into it, where we are doing it like a mathematical equation, like something that we have no personal passion connected to, no prejudices, no bigotries, and if we have them, we are able to suppress them for the purpose of the principle, because we are attempting to do something for principle, not for personal expression. So that's what I mean when I'm talking about meaning. I am talking about describing the truth, the universal, absolute, covers it all truth. So anyway, and that's a hard task, and my point is this: this other guy, Donito 9474 whatever, you know, he basically, he gets it. You know, I mean, I guess my answer to his question would be both. I mean, I thought the way you described it, both ways work, and yes, the bottom line is the equation, it doesn't sound too good. That's right. The end product is not a happy story. But really, you know, there's been a couple of comments where people talk about the universe as being perfect. To me, that's a childish, imbecilic notion. Why would we presume perfection? Why would we even presume productivity? Why would we presume anything good? The universe is a stagnant material force. It has no ethics. It has no values. There's no reason to presume that it would create productively. And so, you know, to me, that gets washed out right away. That's just nonsense. That's just wishful thinking. That's just fucking religion, basically. But yeah, but I think it's worth talking about, even if it is a sad story, and even I'm making the contention that you know, we might have to conclude that we are a waste of cosmic space. At the worst, that we are an unproductive use of cosmic space, in the fact that we create all this negative potential and have no real capacity to produce anything of real value. I mean, as evil as that sounds, I would argue that even our most orgasmic pleasure might only be the pleasure received from eliminating the pain that we are in. It is perhaps the most ultimate stress reliever. So you take your most orgasmic joy, all that might be is the feeling of relieving tension, relieving stress, relieving the negative. the pain of life. There's been people with the out-of-body experience, the near-death experience, you know, and they've talked about this whoosh, you know, this feeling of freedom and release. And yeah, because I think we are constantly in a negative condition. We are perpetually in a cramped, a suppressed, a compressed, a pressurized, a unfree condition. And it is through these little things, these little experiences in life, where we are able to release some of that pressure, some of that tension. You know, we find a $100 bill on the sidewalk, it makes us happy because it relieves some tension, leaves some, wow, $100, I can do this or do that, or it's a pleasurable experience.